Y'all. Let me see if I'm doing this right. Let me see. So, I think it's time to start. Let me see. What time is it? Hey, good morning. So, I'm outside because I want to offer y'all a different type of breath work today, okay? We're going to do a different type of breath work, and that one is, the one we're going to do today is called Woodchopper. And it's one that I used to be a yoga calm trainer for working with children, and my friends Jim and Linnea Gillen, they introduced me to Woodchopper, and I do it with my students as well. But before I get into that, let me start my timer. I always forget my timer, right? Let me start my timer. So before I get into that, I want to just say a few things about why it's important for us to do breath work and breath activities like this one I'm about to show you. That's called Woodchopper. First things first, family. Right now, we need to recognize and respect this pandemic as Mother Earth is taking a deep breath, right? So the stillness that is being brought upon this whole world because of this pandemic is allowing our Mother Earth to take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. So right now in this pandemic, we must recognize that we have to move our energy. We have to move our energy from threat to challenge, right? So we're in this state of threat, which can facilitate and be a part of contributing to sickness, and moving that to challenge. So this is information in our mind that our mind creates as a belief system. If you have a belief system that you're under threat, you're going to die, there's things to be afraid of, then you will create this space in your body that allows for sickness to come. It actually is creating a space for your body to respond to the threat that's there, as opposed to a challenge. So if we look at this as a challenge, think about it. When you look at something as a challenge, the way you approach it is completely different. It's almost aligned with this idea of naming it to tame it, right? So a lot of the things that I share with you all, it comes out of my studies of interpersonal neurobiology, and just the way we think about things can have such a huge impact on how we move forward. So in this pandemic, yes, there is loss. Yes, we feel overwhelmed, but we can arrange these things. We can arrange these things in our mind to be constructive. So arranging this to be constructive, we can name those feelings. So if we're feeling sad, we can name that and say, I am sad. We can name our sadness. We can name our anger. But we can, by naming it, we're bringing ourselves from this place of reactivity to receptivity. And when we move to that, when we move to this place of receptivity, we feel more in control. So that is going to take me into explaining to you all why we're going to do this breath work that we're about to do. So there's this thing called primal scream therapy, or we can call it stress scream therapy. So when working with children, especially children who were in situations that were extremely violent, or they were in situations that they had no control over. So we know that about children, right? For the most part, children don't have control over their lives. The adults around them usually do, and they basically are kind of these passive beings in it. So I used to teach them Woodchopper. And I used to teach them Woodchopper as a healthy tool to use when they felt out of control to bring themselves back to control. So you all know this experience of when you have anger, you may yell at someone. And when you're yelling at someone, it's out of control. But this is projecting, and it's not the same as screaming to let out frustration. So it's healthy to scream to let out frustration because it's controlled. Now, when you're yelling and arguing with someone, it's out of control, and that is projecting. And what we want to do is bring control back to ourselves when feeling overwhelmed or angry. So right now, many of us may be feeling this loss of autonomy, this loss of ability to be in control, because you're in physical. I'm going to change my language from social isolation. I'm going to change it to physical isolation, because we're social beings and we need that. So even doing things like that, like changing the language that we use. So in physical isolation, many of us feel frustrated and overwhelmed, right? So here is Woodchopper. I'm going to show you how to do it. And I came outside because my kids are still asleep because they've been staying up to 3, 4 in the morning. But I came outside to show you all so that you can have something, a primal scream, as well as some physical movement to let you release some of the frustration or the feelings of the overwhelming feelings that you've been having. And I just want you all to keep recognizing that you have to move from a threat state to a challenge state. Like, see this as a challenge, but see yourself as being able to get through it, right? It's not a threat. It's not a threat state that we need to be in. It's a challenge state, right? So here we go. I'm going to step back and I'm going to show you all. Let me see how much time I got left. I'm going to show you all Woodchopper, and I'm going to explain it to you, and I want you to participate if you have the space to participate, okay? So hold on. So usually when I teach this, I'm teaching and I'm explaining that you really want to be intentional about what you're doing here. So a lot of times I say, I want you to stand with your feet a little wider than hip width apart, right? And really ground your feet down into the earth. Ground your feet down into the earth and be able to connect to Mother Earth, right? And then I want you to imagine that before you have a chopping block before you, right? And a lot of times when we do this, I ask clients or students to imagine something that you're struggling with or something that is creating stress for you. I want you to see yourself chopping that, moving that along, or getting it out of your way. And actually, whenever I teach this, when I get pretty emotional, because if it were in my control and I say it's a challenge to be able to move through life with cancer, right? So when I'm chopping, and excuse my language, but I mean this with all my heart, I'm trying to chop the fuck out of cancer, right? Because cancer has harmed me and my family in so many ways, okay? So excuse my language in that, but that's how I feel about Woodchopper and chopping out cancer. So you have a chopping block before you. And I also say this too. We want to place things and ideas and issues on our chopping block, but we can't place people on our chopping block, okay? Nobody place people on your chopping block. So we have something here on our chopping block, and we have our feet hip width apart. My timer is about to go off, so that means I have 1 more minute, y'all. So let me turn it off. Okay, so feet are a little wider than hip width apart. Bring your hands together, and then when you move, family, you're going to put a slight bend in your knees, and then you're going to take the hands up on the inhale, and on the exhale, you're going to imagine you're chopping wood or chopping whatever that is you want to get out of the way. This controlled release of frustration, right? Inhale, and on the exhale, it goes like this. Ha! Right? So you scream real loud as you release that. So like I said, it's this primal scream, this ability to release and let out through our voices and by releasing from our bodies with our voice. So y'all ready? So here we go. We're going to do it 3 times in a row, right? So hands are together. Inhale, take the hands up. Exhale, ha! Inhale up. Exhale, ha! Inhale up. Exhale, ha! Right? So what you get to do is keep doing that for as long as you do it. And sometimes when I'm in a group or if I'm working with students and clients, we just chop, 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 chop. And of course, tears start coming down. And then there's this amazing release of frustration, but it's a controlled release. We're not reacting to people with anger. We're not attacking people with anger or projecting that frustration and anger. It's a controlled release, and we're moving from this stress state to a controlled state, to a state of challenge, right? So I offer you all that because I'm hearing more and more and seeing more and more where people are feeling more this experience as a threat. They're getting worried. There's a lot of fear, but I want to encourage you all to keep looking at it as a challenge, right? It's a challenge that we can overcome, but it's not a threat that's going to kill us and end all of us, okay? All right, that's all I got for y'all today. I'll see you later. Bye.